Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to GameStar TV for the Blizzard ANZ HG Heroes of the Storm playoffs. My name is Kit Fox. It is an absolute pleasure to be your host for this evening. We have an amazing team on board tonight. As usual, we have Crisis as our producer. Skimmy is our play-by-play caster. Vandy is back in the analyst chair. And Evexium is the community manager and admin. Welcome to all of the teams that have qualified. Of course, we did farewell Nomia. So the 8 teams that will be playing in this Thursday's playoffs are Dark-Sided, formerly known as Morton's List. We'll get to that one very, very shortly. City Wok, No Worries, Top 10 Dad Betrayals, Trump Sports, Scripps and Scrubs taking the place of Milkshake tonight, who are unable to field a team, and Ethereal and We Met at Bunnings. It is a best of 3. Maps will be drafted by the teams with the highest seed, choosing between the first map ban or the first hero pick. And you might have heard a familiar name earlier, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dark-Sided, one of the biggest dogs in Australia at the moment, doing amazing things. We would like to take this opportunity from the bottom of our hearts to welcome them to the Heroes of the Storm scene. They have recently acquired Morton's List, who took down the Titans Nomia in week 1 of the playoffs. If you were tuning in, if you actually missed out that game, don't worry, it's on our YouTube channel, so you go check that one out. But we would like to welcome Dark-Sided to the scene, and as such, we'll be featuring both of their games tonight. Their first game will be up against City Wok, but he is hoping that with DS on board, that a few more orgs will jump on very, very shortly. I know that there are a few that have been watching and have had their scouting caps on, so do us proud, everybody participating tonight. We do have viewer giveaways as well as a Dark-Sided mousepad to be giving away to celebrate them joining the scene. So we're going to go ahead and open that raffle now. We do have 3 loot chest keys to be giving away tonight, and in each one of those chest keys, you get 12 chests. So we have 3 of those to give away, each containing 12 chests. So exclamation mark GS HotS to enter. We do have, we're going to be drawing, 2 of those at the end of game number 1. And we're going to be drawing the 1 and the mousepad at the end of the second best of 3. But game number 1 is going to be Dark-Sided, formerly known as Morton's List, going up against City Wok. So now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be passing you over to a man who once filled my Twitter feed with creeping on Mexican weather girls. That is actually no lie. It really happened. I am, of course, talking about Skimmy, and he's joined once again by Vandy.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're the meme machine over here at GameStar HotS. But yeah, Vandy, how are you? Another new week, another week of playoffs, and we're already halfway through Season 3.
I'm great, thank you, Skimmy, and exactly right. This is week 2. I cannot believe it already. The weeks are just flying by. I'm super hyped tonight, especially because of this Dark-Sided announcement. I want to see what the boys bring. They've already got their names all together, all synergized nicely, so they're already super excited about this announcement, as are we.
Well, I mean, I had to organise that lobby so you have all the guys tagged up there, so it looks nice and cream just for your OCD, because at the end of the day, you know, Birdie, he just doesn't have the commitment to rename.
Booty is apparently the sub for the evening, so he doesn't get to rock the Dark-Sided for the team, so it's all good in the hood, though. He's got a swag name. He's got a plush name.
I mean, it's an interesting name that I'm sure triggers 12-year-olds, but everything's awkward for 12-year-olds. But let's talk about these bans. The map choices that were taken away. We had Sky Temple banned away by City Wok themselves, then Braxis was the flick around from Dark-Sided themselves, which resulted in first map pick. City Wok went for Infernal Shrines, a safe standard pick for this region, really, if anything, and first pick will then be going in favor of Dark-Sided. What do you think about these map choices?
Very, very interesting. So Sky Temple being banned out, that Skywalk perhaps not so confident in those long skirmishes, in those objective-focused ones, but then picking Infernal Shrines where you can do something similar. Perhaps it's more about the brawl for these guys. They feel like they can win a skirmish quite comfortably. They can push with the objective.
And we know from past occurrences that a team like Dark-Sided, they love to play all that aggression. They want to go straight in for those skirmishes, and the comps they tend to sort of draft are very heavily rotated around the 4-man for the most part, where they're looking to rotate and invade and just look for the fights. So we saw you touching upon, you had a few stats before there, Vandy, touching upon what they're running in week 1 for Darksided.
That's correct. So Darksided, they really did have respect on that Genji ban. And they made sure that whether they were up against Sweet Dreams or Nomiya last week, they took Genji off the board and they opted to get that Malfurion first pick. Very, very important for Darksided to secure.
Well, here's a variation to that straight off the bat, Vandy. Dahaka is going to be banned away by Darksided, and I believe that's a first for them when it comes to the competitive circuit. But definitely with the change that's happened to him, good old Lamborghini, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with, even more so than before.
Exactly right. He's been fine-tuned, that little Lambo, ready to hit the racetracks now. And really, he's back into the scene. He's very strong now, to the point where now we're seeing a respect ban perhaps coming out. And whether now we're going to see City Wok see if they can deny that Malfurion, as we sort of said, because Darkseid really, really preferred that to be their supportive choice.
A lot of decisions now ready for City Wok. Where do they go in this draft? It's quite hard to analyze when you have that initial pick as to where they're going to opt for. They do decide to go for the new break, which is interesting. So, Genji being available, Vandy, do we think Darkseid are going to play Genji? I mean, we didn't see it last week, but we know that it's been banned a lot in ANZ. We know that teams love to play it, but that could be a double-sided, double-edged sword, really. It could be a fact of them being good at playing the hero, or just teams too scared to actually figure out how to verse it.
I think what we saw last week was perhaps Genji was still quite raw around the edges, still quite new. People were figuring out how to combat him, what was the mechanics around him. And really, if you do get a lot of hard crowd control onto Genji, he can be quite the sitting duck and you can blow him up. If he's not able to use deflect, he is squishy. So I'm thinking teams are going to be more comfortable with him now, to the point where we're not seeing a Genji ban. We didn't also see a Genji pickup. They've opted for Kerrigan. Kerrigan shines so well on Infernal Shrines. It's one of her...
No man.
Here's one of their best maps. Yeah, Kerrigan definitely doing a lot of work on here. And the response really seems to be here. We need to deny that Ufa. We can't allow that matchup as a pairing to go hand in hand with each other. We'll have to see how they decide to amplify that later on the line, be it the Genji or potentially the Greymane. But they then opt for Johanna. So there seems to be a common trend when you're up against these kill comps looking to try and force fights. You yourself opt for more of a wave clear or a little bit more bruiser-centric to try and combat, survive for those fights, be able to out-macro them and just outplay them in terms of wave clear and safety. But there we go, Vandy. Arthas and Rhaegar are the next couple of picks.
Very interesting. I like the Arthas pick. It really gives him that nice, strong front line. He can go synergize quite well with Kerrigan around the shrine fights, and that Rhaegar as well. He can then supplement them, whether he's going to go Bloodlust or Ancestral Heal. It will give them a lot more durability in these team fights. Interesting, though, this could be where Lucio could shine, because Lucio Arthas still quite a daring duo, quite a nice little combination going on.
So, I mean, we definitely have seen double support in the past. Do you think Lucio and Rhaegar together would be good? I mean, you combine that with something really meaty, someone that can bring some huge punch in the backline, like, Greymane or the Sonya. I mean, right now they have a lot of bruises. They need that range carry. So how do you think the double support would work for them?
Ooh, double support could be something quite nice for them. It really depends on whether they're going to have something dedicated for their sustained damage. So Valor has been taken off the board. If they do go double support, it will be full durability, and a lot of that pressure will be on Kerrigan, on Arthas to whittle down the team. But already on City Wok's side, I don't know if double support is what they want. I think they need to pack a little bit more damage because Johanna, Uther, very, very stocky champions. They can really stall out a fight for quite a long time between those two.
Well, it's interesting because Uther, if you think about it, he can go for that talent that allows him to get extra heals when he gets rooted. So, if anything, he's looking to run straight into the face of Arthas and have a bit of a Warcraft-free skirmish, a bit of a throwback to the old days. But Kel'Thas and Files that are locked in, so keeping up that sort of thematic look of, hey, we've got wave clear, we've got split push pressure. If you can't fight us, which we know Darkseid would love to do, we can out-rotate and we can find advantages, forcing you to separate that squad.
That's it. So perhaps City Wok, they have understood where Darksided their strengths lay, the way they like to play. And with that Falster, with that Kel'Thas, they can push lanes quite effectively and then out-rotate them. That is team comp that they've sort of put together now.
So 2 final picks now for the side of Darksider. Like I said, we need a big punchline for the backline. Somebody that can bring some damage. Greymane seems to be the most obvious choice, so they can't afford to pick up Tyrael because they'd be so bruiser heavy, in my opinion. So clumped up for the Kel'Thas to find insane amounts of value. Not to mention Uther potentially then going for the Divine Storm on top of all things considered. So potentially double support. We've seen Tassadar. Is Tassadar the go-to here? He has received that big change, and I was a bit hesitant at the start. They've gone for Tyrael despite everything. And they actually opt for Jaina. So Jaina over Greymane. I mean, what do you think about that, Vandy?
I like the Jaina because it allows them to have some kite and it gives them a mage of their own to blow up that Johanna if she's getting too close. Really, they can then just kite her. Johanna, she works by getting really up in your face, setting up the fight for your team. Jaina can counteract that. And that Tyrael, he works a little bit like the Tassadar. Perhaps they weren't feeling confident going with the reworked Tassadar because out of the buffs to the shield where he can get a lot of more life leech. Kerrigan's auto attack's not that quick. Same for Arthas. It wouldn't be optimal. I think Tyrael fits the role that they were looking for Tassadar to do, but nicer for their comp.
If we're looking at City Wok, their final pick there is Zion. I have to agree with this for the sole fact that right now, if I'm looking at that Kel'Thas play, I'm thinking, hey, this comp completely relies on you because you've got 4, including Rhaegar, melee people jumping in your face, Living Bomb, not to mention the value that Flame Strike can get is absolutely insane. So a lot of pressure on this man here. We'll find out who's playing that in a second, but Zaya adding that second layer of protection. 2 very different team comps. This is classic Darksider, formerly known as Morton's List. Flat out aggression when it comes to Infernal Shrines.
Yeah, and City Wok as well. Instead, they've gone for the heavy push. They do also have quite a nice, strong engage as well. That Uther being able to set things up. The Johanna able to set things up. Really, they're packing a lot of crowd control on their side as well. Both teams are. So I'm hard picked to see who's going to win this just based off the draft. I think they're both drafted quite nicely for this map.
I think it's definitely going to be point and click in terms of a little bit of a harder strategy or an element of coordination for the guys in City Wok to make sure that they don't get caught out because a lot of this is going to be relying on them split pushing with the Johanna, with the Falstead and utilising the Johanna wave clear to supplement things like Kel'Thas. So if they can hold their own when they are rotating between lanes, they will keep themselves quite secure, but definitely aside, be it Darksided, they're so experienced. They are undisputedly one of the top teams, top 3 in the region right now. And with Nomia being out of the picture, this really sort of throws up into the air. Who is the king of ANZ whilst they're departed?
Yeah, we saw last week, Nomia, they did have a defeat to send them on their way to Sweden to DreamHack, something to work on. And in their stead, it appeared that formerly known Morton's List, now Darksided, was the team to beat. They are now the team to beat, sorry.
Well, let's introduce these 2 teams. The very first best of 3 of the night for Week 2 playoffs. On the right-hand side, rocking those red shorts, it is Team City Wok. Blank on Uther. MKL playing Zaya. Nuke, Guardian on Falstead. Pizza, Ciel on Johanna. And Melo on Kel'Thas.
And on the blue side, we have Darksided. We have Haki on Jaina. Moops on Rhaegar. Demise on Kerrigan. Booty on Arthas. And Vicarek playing Tyrael.
So you had to imagine that Darkseid are going to posture for the early game fight. I'd love to see City Wok just back away from this. No point even putting up a contestation here. They know that they're going to be far weaker in that result. We'd just like to see them just go straight away for the wave clear. Straight into either the top lane and push with Falstead or bide their time because right now, I mean, let's actually talk about this, Vandy. I thought it was going to be Arcane Barrier. He's gone for Convection. This Melo player on Kel'Thas is feeling so confident, but then he goes in straight with the stun coming in from Kerrigan. He's got the shield bot popped for days. Convection at 2 stacks, right back down to 0. And I said it, Vandy, they've got to be so careful. Level 1.
It's interesting. You can't just go Convection unless you really have your team being able to protect you, or you have the confidence to make the aggressive plays to stack up the Convection in relative safety. I feel like with a Kerrigan around, you didn't need to poke that far out. And even there's a lot of aggression coming out as well from Darksided onto Pizza Sow in the bottom lane.
Well, they're still sticking around in mid lane here. Kel'Thas has just rocked up back. And Haki, I mean, let's talk about it. Jaina hasn't really seen too much love recently. She's very cooldown dependent. If that cooldown sort of cycle is missed, and she is a bit of a sitting duck there, literally chucking out ice flanks from that staff. We're not going to be achieving too much, but here comes the gank attempt. Vandy switch the camera to the top lane because they're looking for Nuke Guardian. He has the barrel roll, but there goes Demise with the combination, and it's so good, followed up by the Blizzard. Point, click, stun, and damage picks up second blood.
That's exactly what we expect to see out of the composition coming up from Darkside. They have the Kerrigan, they have the Arthas, they can rotate as such. Once a lane's clear, if it's pushed up, you need to keep an eye on those MIAs, those missing in actions, because that Kerrigan, Arthas, they've got the rolling crowd control train, and they're going to want to get these picks.
I mean, there is a lot of early game for the side of Darksiders, especially harping on when it comes to Kerrigan, looking to really try and abuse that, find this level lead that they're currently finding themselves in. On the side of City Wok, they need to play a little bit more patiently. They need to respect what their comp is doing. You know, falling behind in the wave clear is never a good sign to start this game off, but it comes to the shrine itself. 21 little dudes, as we like to coin them here in ANZ, are being picked up right now for Darksiders. They're still keeping that split push pressure, keeping both Arthas and Falstad in the top lane. But as I said, Newt Guardian joins the fight, making it a 5v4. Time to fly on in. 35 little dudes picked up, but I might be a little bit too late. Barrel coming in, but the stun attempt once again is beautiful. From Demise, is there enough in the bank? No, there's not. The shield cannot prevent Falstad from dropping on down. That is another Ender picked up for free. Looking for another choke spot. Now on towards Blank, who's got no mana left. And second stun attempt, looking in two people. They are looking for the triple kill. And Darksided really flexing the might as a result of picking up that sponsorship.
Look at Demise on Kerrigan. This is why she is so feared, especially on this map. They left her for days alone on the shrine. She was raging hopscotching, as we've coined the term, from one to the other. All the little dudes falling. And just like that, they picked up the first one. They even stalled it out until they were ready. They'd cleaned out the wave, and then they could do it. Teams that are generally in front with the shrine, it's a tactic that we sort of see. They will stall out the shrine until they're ready to take it, perhaps by taking a camp, by clearing a wave, and then, only then when they're in position, they'll then trigger the Infernal Guardian to come out.
Well, it's a scary spot for them to be right in City Wok. They're currently 2 levels behind, not too far to level 7 right now, Darksided are. There's 6 stacks on that convection, and that is really where my focal point is looking for when you're looking at the City Wok side. So much relying on Melee to perform this game, making sure that he can, at least when it comes to level 10 with those mid-game brawls, be able to sort of interrupt this dive-centric comp that Darksided are rocking. And I mean, it's a bit of a rough start, but it's not completely over. Obviously, the early game Punisher is not going to achieve too much, but it's going to be a mental game more than anything.
That's right. When you are picking up these early kills, it can really fluster the enemy team, or just, it is a little bit disconcerting. Oh, there we go.
And it's just one by one. The combination between both Demise and Hacky is so in harmony, really. It's like watching synchronized swimming. They just know what they need to do. Demise has been so on point. I don't believe he's missed a single stun combo yet. And when you're playing out of your mind like that, you know you're in for a good show. But here they go. They're looking for another kill. Looking for Blank this time. Stun attempt. Once again, it is there. It is ready to go. 2-level lead is still the story here, Vandy. And Darksided are showing no signs of giving up.
Darksided aren't allowing City Wok to utilize their comp. They're really tying up Falstad in that lane, not really allowing him to get much flight value, because the moment he does, he's going to lose that all-important soak.
Yep.
And that's really just leaving the opposing members to then deal with this threat. They're actually not even getting a chance to defend because they're getting picked off. MKL in the lane by himself. Blank off in the wing by himself. They really need to respect the positioning of Demise, because really he is going to be their, not shot caller, but playmaker, essentially. He's setting up the kills for his team.
Well, let's carry on the commentary. I mean, let's just see what happened in that last minute of play. We had them pushing straight through mid Darksided with the mercenary camps. Like you mentioned already, both Arthas and Faust are currently locked up in that top lane. But then they had mercenaries. The Kaz are still pushing in bot lane. The entire macro coordination right now is allowing them to be now in a 3-level lead. Those ultimates are online. Ring of Frost, it has to be the go-to. What I'm really curious though about Vandy is it Judgment or is it Sanctification?
I'm waiting to see as well, and he has opted for the Sanctification, so that's going to make really the job of taking the shrines much, much easier. If a team fight is fought around these sort of heavy choke points, they will have an advantage fighting on the sanctified ground.
That is that investment for what I'm feeling so scared about when it comes to these mid-game fights. I mean, Kael'thas, he's on 15 stacks. He's been doing really well to recover from the early game death. Would love to see him hit that 20 power spike and be able to flex his might once they themselves hit 10. But, you know, we touched upon it. 4 melees in close proximity. It doesn't take the most skilled player to prop a living bomb and spread out like wildfire. So if he can keep himself safe, if he can utilize potentially, if they do go for the Divine Shield, utilize the uptime to dish out the damage, he single-handedly could turn the fight in their favor.
That's really it. Kael'thas, the longer the game goes as well, Kael'thas will start to scale. Notably, he can hit his power spike at level 16. That's when things start to go down, when the bodies hit the floor as Kael'thas. He really just needs to also get that power spike, as you said, finish off Convection. He's done a great job pushing it back, getting that 15 stacked up. This is going to be the crucial moment. See if he can get the last 5, and then he's safe. He can die, well, I'm not going to say as much as he likes, but he can die in peace.
He can die without feeling as guilty that he's not reaching his full potential, like all of our parents wish we are when we go to high school. But high school is another day, and I've definitely graduated from that one, so don't start roasting me in my DMs. But here we go for the push. Mortar Punisher jumping on in, looking for the Nuke Guardian. We're not even playing Brax's holdout, and that is what the call is here. Ancestral very early on, burnt there. Not to mention they did use the Maelstrom as well, so 2 big ultimates consumed. They still have the Ring of Frost, not to mention Sanctification. Looking for the Sun Attack once again on towards MKL. There goes the big Ring of Frost and the Sanctification to ensure that nobody can get the flick upon. Still no ultimates to City Wok. This is 7 minutes in, Vandy, and these members are dropping just like that. Double kill. Can I see a triple kill? Can I be an auctioneer? Can I call the shots? Can we go for the core? What are Darksider looking to achieve right now? That keep is surely about to drop. The Punisher is gone, Vandy, and that keep is going to be the prize at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, dangerously low, and they even might get a pick on Blank now. They do get a pick as well before they then retreat.
Triple kills. It seems to be the story, right? Every single time these guys go in for an engagement, they are not just picking up one, they are picking up numbers. And it's 10 kills to 0, Vandy. Clean as it comes.
They are playing like their life depends on it right now, the Darksider guys, flexing their might, really showing the aggression. So it's hard. On the side of City Wok, it's hard for them to claw it back, really, because they needed to win that early. They needed to snowball things in their favor. If you let the brawler-centric team get ahead, this is where things get difficult, because every opportunity they get, they're going to find these fights, they're going to pick these fights. They have everything to initiate a fight, essentially. So every chance they get, Demise, every chance he sees, he's going to take. And that's where you can kind of get into a little bit of a sticky situation on the side of City Wok.
And that seems to be really it. You know, they've been playing their strategy so far, City Wok, and they've allowed this 4-level lead soon to be. I mean, it's just snowballing out of control right now from not only the fights, but the keep, just the mercenaries, everything point by point. And I mean, looking for it again, Vandy. I mean, Vikrak is posturing in that brush. Melo, he has got the convection stacks completed, so we can feel happy about that right now. But they do have the ultimates. They have gone for Divine Shield. They've gone for Expulsion Zone too. So, I mean, they've got a few different cooldowns that they can use to try and interrupt and even catch up the members that they know are going to be diving onto them. But, you know, they need to try and coordinate their team fights a little bit better now that they are on a slightly even footing. And we have to wait and see. And surely it's going to be that next Punisher when it all comes to head.
That's right. They have picked up their heroics, so they're even in that regards. But 14 is the level of Darksider. They are 4 levels ahead. They are a talent tier above. So...
Oh, it's not what you want. You got 2 members split in the bot lane. Why are you fighting right now? They're going to get caught. Oh, Ring of Frost is going to come on through. It only lands on towards Zaya. He's going to get instantly popped. No time for a cleanse. No chance for anything. Oh, Ancestral comes onto Hacky, and it's just blocking Blank, who's forced to burn at Divine Shield. Never a good sight when the support 2 got himself. Darksider do manage to get out. They pick up a kill. That's going to give them enough breathing room to pick up the Shrine uncontested for the most part, but Zaya will be back up in 10 seconds. Still has the Expulsion Zone, and that's the only ultimate that City Wok had left.
Why are you fighting is the call we're saying to City Wok, but it's even, I can hear them saying, they're like, we're not trying to, these guys are just positioned in our camp. This is our side of the map, but really, Darksiders, they don't care, Skimmy. They can afford to have this aggressive positioning. It's exactly as I'm sort of telling you. They fear nothing because they are so far ahead in terms of level, in terms of just controlling the pace of the game.
And I mean, it's a rough spot to think about it, right? Because you're going to be, we need to get on an even talent footing. I mean, they're going to be hitting 16 before City Wok hit 13. That's when you're finding yourself in a 2 talent tier advantage. I mean, that is a scary proposition to make. I mean, there's only so much turtling you can do before you realize we're going to have to fight on whatever disadvantage it is, because it's a do or die moment. I mean, if they get another team wipe, potentially Darksider just run it straight through bot and go for the core.
That's exactly it. The next fight that happens, really, Darksider will be looking to see if they can end the game there, a nice early one, because the longer this stalls out, it gives City Wok more of a chance to breathe, a chance to come back, and that's exactly what Darksider are trying to put an end to. They want to use the snowball and carry it through to the end.
Well, let's talk about the snowball. I mean, they got the keep with the cannons pushing bot lane. They got the shaman camp infinitely pushing top. And now they have a Punisher through mid lane. So the macro game, once again, pressure across the board. What can you do? Double stun from Demise, jumping in with the Maelstrom, looking to find some follow-up. Ring of Frost this time does not connect. Unfortunate for Hacky. Certification burnt very early on as well. But here comes Demise for the second time. He's going to go for Malo. And straight away, Kelfast, the crux of this team comp, is gone. Expulsion Zone, not going to find any kind of value. And Divine Shield still left in the bank for blank. Not the best use of that ultimate, but they're still looking for more. They're still hungry, Vanny. They're just picking these people up like it's easy pickings. And Darkside to pick up a second keep. And, well, the question is now, do they go for the end?
I think they do. They're just getting kills to pat their stats. They really, really want the Felstad. New Guardian, they've got their eye on him. Hacky does pick up the kill.
They do pick him up.
And I think it's
staggered death
the end.
I mean, people are up in 20 seconds. Zaya's going to be up in 2. She's going to have Expulsion Zone in a second. It could be rather close. I mean, 17 to 12. 15 kills to 0. What a way to open up playoffs for week number 2. Can we find any more kills? Do they have to sustain to stay around? Malo, once again, he tries to make something happen. And he is just popped like a pimple, gone like Proactive Solution in the infomercials. Deary me. Healing Ward is coming across. They had to sustain. They have the ability to get this. They have the core in their sights, down to 30%, surely showing no signs of going through. Darksided pick up game number 1.
Oh, that was a nicely played game. Really, I was hoping that with the respawn time as being quite short, that City Wok, they could get their second breath. Really, it didn't work out because they kind of filtered in one by one. That was the staggered death time as they're at work and really punishing them at the end. Oh.
So I think we briefly spoke about it on a number of occasions during that game as to who was really putting in a lot of work, but I'd love to hear your insights to where you thought the MVP nomination should go.
I won Kerrigan in my sides with Demise. He missed perhaps, I think, one stun, and even then, that's insane. That's an insane accomplishment for a Kerrigan as well. He just played out of his mind. He really set up everything so nicely for the rest of his team members to follow up. Vikarek backing him up. Hacky, as you said, those two synchronized swimmers through the lane. It was wonderful to see.
And I mean, let's have a quick look at the overview for City Wok as well. Malo doing 41,000. Look at his numbers compared to the rest of his team. Not to mention how he stacked up against Darksided. They were the team that lost. They didn't even pick up a single kill, and he was able to dish out that much damage. Hence why I was putting so much focus on making sure that the kill files could do work, but it wasn't to be enough. City Wok do pick up the win in the end, and Demise, congratulations for picking up MVP nomination number 1. But that does it for game number 1. Best of 3 is still here, so stick around as we come back with more Games to ANZ HotS.